All right, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we are live on the air. I want to welcome everyone to this week's episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And as you can see by the panel members, we are short some friends today, but we're going to make this work. We do have Slow-Mo Backslap coming in a little bit later after he takes care of some family responsibilities so we can get his opinion on everything that is going on. But of course, I still have three other panel members, and I'd like to introduce them before we get started. You know him as a panel regular, someone that I really think has brought his A game, even though he just started podcasting very recently, and someone that is an assassin when he is playing online multiplayer shooters. Please welcome to the panel, Tempest Sun.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Got a lot of juicy topics to get into. Some people are going to be triggered, but that's all right. We're just here to entertain and do what we love doing, talking about games, playing games. You know the deal. So let's get to it.
Well, listen, it's going to be a great show. If you're a big fan of Xbox, get ready, strap on, and let's get ready to rock and roll because there's news all over the place. As a matter of fact, I think you've heard me say this before, that the mindshare was the mindshare heist happened on December 12th and has been really in Microsoft's favor, and it continues even through CES today. Now, I know that right now as we speak, there is something going on at CES in Las Vegas with, of course, Sony, what they're exactly doing. I'm not watching live, and the software I'm using I don't have the capability yet. That is something that we're going to be doing in the future as soon as they add it to the beta. But let's continue with, of course, the awesome panel intros. And you know him as our inside source to everything GameStop. He is a proud father, great community member, and one heck of an addicted Destiny 2 player. Please welcome Guardian Forte.
What's up, Boom? Finally making the return after not having to deal with customers for 12 hours in one day. But no, it's been good though. Happy to be back, man. A lot of good news coming out of CES, and Microsoft is just killing it over the last couple of months, man.
Yeah, that's we're going to get into it. We have a couple of topics that broke late that actually weren't written up, but we're going to get into it. But we're going to do that in a second. And first, I have to welcome someone that has bailed out this particular show more times than he's ever been given credit for. Someone that constantly is dropping news excerpts into my DM, and someone that's just an all-around amazing community member, and someone that also supports many of the content creation community within YouTube. Please welcome Dreadpool.
Thank you. We're going to have a great night tonight. I can't wait to get on these topics, and appreciate you having me on.
Well, listen, it's great to have you on. So listen, let's get right into what has made Twitter a really fun place to hang out the last 12 hours. Apparently, Phil Spencer, who is currently at Redmond in Seattle, Washington, taking care of a few things. That's his exact quote. He didn't specify as to what he's taking care of, but I would imagine that it's something to do with the Xbox Series X. Well, he last year made tremendous news when he was up on stage with the president of AMD talking about the next Xbox. And, you know, a lot of people thought for sure that he was going to be there once again. And, you know, again, he was not. But he did something that really grabbed the headlines. And I'm going to bring up a picture of it. All he did was change his Twitter picture to the chip that's going to power the Xbox Series X that will be released this fall. And of course, everyone and their mother went crazy. And like I said, yes, it's just a simple picture change. But this is, of course, is the head of Xbox, someone that the fans have been cheering for, someone that is responsible for turning the ship around, and someone that just a couple of weeks ago was up on stage debuting the Xbox Series X for the first time at the Game Awards And listen, we're going to talk about this, what the chip looks like and what everyone's opinion on the move. And I'll start with Gaming Forte. Gaming Forte, obviously, you know exactly what we're talking about because I saw you tweeting about it. And you just said it a few seconds ago on your intro. Microsoft making a strong case to be the market leader early and often in fall of 2020 with the mind share that seems to be in their favor. What are your thoughts on Phil Spencer's picture change?
Look, man, it was subtle. And it was something that was much needed for Microsoft. For me, some people probably just say, oh, he just changed his Twitter profile picture. And, you know, anybody that's a exec that high, when you do any type of little things like that, and it's always some type of meaning behind the reason you're doing it. And this is what I always really wanted from Microsoft. This is the marketing side of Microsoft taking full effect that they didn't do pretty much this whole freaking generation. And, you know, it doesn't just mean you got to spend millions of dollars on just talking about your game, putting your game out there on commercials and letting everybody see it. You know, little things like this just to get your fan base riled up will do a lot of wonders just for you in itself. You know, we're going to market this system for them more than anything over the course of the next couple of months. But him putting that SOE up there, that SoC up there, the system on a chip, that was really, really cool looking. A lot of people, if you didn't see Brad Sam's video, he did a comparison of the Xbox One X chip over the top of it. And you can see how the die is definitely bigger on this version of the chip that they have. The fact that we were talking about it earlier, that it has 8K on it, a lot of that could be a lot of marketing speech. I know you were talking that could be future-proof in the box. There's a whole bunch of different ways they can go with that. We know that the CPU did not change in the Xbox One over the course of the generation. The only thing they did was boost the clock speed, and then they gave us a better GPU with the Xbox One X, but it kept the same system on a chip inside of it. So if that is to be believed, there is a chance later on during this generation that we could probably get a significant upgrade to the GPU side of it that can actually probably one day hit that 8K number. But guess what? The fact that it says 8K on it, don't let that pie any mind. It's just to me, I feel like that's just Microsoft just saying, hey, we're not only do we think one day the system's going to do 8K, we're going to put it on the system, we're going to put it on the chip, we're going to show it, and let everybody just wonder what's going to be the power of the system going forward. And that's all I really care about from Microsoft. Go out, stretch your stuff, let everybody know that you're in this to win it, because that's the one thing a lot of Microsoft and Xbox people have been really clamoring for. It just didn't seem like Microsoft cared about the narrative of, do people really want your system? But now you're putting that information out there saying, hey, this is what we have. You're talking about it at CES. You're talking about the ports on the back. Well, now you're not talking about it. AMD's talking about the ports on the back of the system. And trust me, AMD would not have showed the back of that box if Microsoft didn't want them to see it. And the fact that we're getting all this information about all this stuff and like CPU and I mean, not CPU, but all this good stuff that's going to be the back of it with the USB type C's and stuff. Dude, this system is shaking up to be something magnificent, and it's going to be worthy of anybody's entertainment system, even if you have a PC sometime later this year when it does release. But I love the marketing push that they're doing today over the last couple of months.
Yeah, they have. This seems like a confident Microsoft. This seems like a Microsoft that's strutting their stuff, that knows that they have the power, that knows that the first party games are coming. And I think that the days of it being a one-sided conversation in regards to market leadership and market mindshare, where it was Sony this entire generation, I think that's gonna be changing, and it's changing right before our eyes. And I want to go to Tempest Son. Tempest, I'm bringing up the chip. This is what Brad Sams, this is what Wario64, this is what BitCloud Gaming, and everybody, Randall Thor and Colt Eastwood and Dealer Gaming have been talking about since all day on Twitter. This is the official chip that's going to be powering the Xbox Series X. It is a monster of a chip. Brad Sams, like Gaming Forte was saying, did put up a video, actually 2 videos today regarding it, and he did do the size comparison, and the center chip is much bigger, and there's a lot more going on. Obviously, again, this wasn't a main topic. This was just happened to pop up at the last minute. I thought it'd be fun to kind of just get, speculating and get everyone's opinion in the chat as well. That, when you see this, again, this is free marketing. What we're doing right now, what I'm doing with this show, what you're going to be doing in a second, we're giving Microsoft free marketing, but we love the brand and we want to see them win. And Phil doing something as subtle as just changing his gamer pick or his Twitter pick to this made some big waves. Are you excited to see these kind of small moves? Because they seem like, little drops equal something big eventually.
So this is loaded right now because I'm trying to do two things at once. To your question, no, what I mean by that is right now Sony CES is going on, and let's just put it this way: so far, it's a total colossal failure for what they're trying to talk about the PS5. And the reason I bring that up is because with what Phil Spencer did by showing us what the console looks like and showing it at the Game Awards, that set like a new precedent. Like right now, we know what it looks like, everything like that. He can literally change. It's almost like he knew what Sony was going to do today, because he could literally just change his profile pic to the chip, and that causes so much, things happening on Twitter, people talking about it, videos being made. I mean, that's all anybody's talking about. Meanwhile, Sony's big news was check out the logo. They literally just popped the thing up on stage, and this is our new logo. It said PS5. I'm
Wow.
like, bro, like what is going on? So, I mean, if you look at the chip, to the chip itself, it says 8K on it. I mean, I said pre-show, I'm like, the balls on this is the guy. I mean, it's probably future proofing. I don't know if we're going to be getting any actual 8K gaming, at least not for a while, maybe not until the mid-gen refresh. But the machine's going to be 8K capable somehow. And it noticeably looks different. I mean, I'm no tech guru by any means, but when I looked at it and I think it was Brad Sam's video, they showed the comparison. All those little, I don't know what they are, I don't know what the heck they are on the side. I'm not a tech guy, but those little white dots on the side of the chip, on the side of the processing unit there, it looks like there's way more of those things than on the Xbox One X chip. So it noticeably looks different. I did see the comparison shot. It is bigger. And as far as I understand, the bigger it is, the more compute units it can have. So you know what? This thing honestly is going to be a beast. It's going to give you mid to somewhat high level PC performance for a cheap price. That's all there is to it. Just like a couple years ago when Xbox One X came out, you almost had to make it. At least I had to make a decision. I know I've said this numerous times. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I bought like an $1,800 PC. I have a choice to make. Do I want to play something in 4K at 30, or do I want to play something in like 1080p 60 or maybe 1440p 60? That's about as far as I can push this $1,800 PC. And I got this around the time that the Xbox One X came out. So it's just going to transition into this new console. When this thing comes out, it's going to make certain PC users blush. Like it just is. I mean, for probably $500, it's going to be unprecedented what this thing's going to do. And the confidence level is through the roof. I think Phil Spencer is literally just excited about talking about this thing. And he can just change his profile picture, and it's going to give us something to talk about for a while. And the first step was doing what nobody thought they'd ever do and showing us what the box looks like. I think at this point it was exactly like a year, maybe a little bit over a year and a couple days of, from when it comes out. And
yeah.
You already know. So, I mean, this is a new Sony and a new Microsoft, man. These are not the same companies that we had in 2013. And I'm really liking what I'm seeing coming from Xbox. I'm not going to lie to you. I love it. So.
Well, I'm going to say this, it's, and I said this, I got laughed, as a content creator, you're going to put yourself out there. And, occasionally, like for stuff like myself, I put myself way out there, and I'm not afraid to get my feelings hurt, because for crying out loud, I was a cop and I got called a lot of things in my 21-year career, and it just rolled off my back. I actually laughed, even when the nastiest things, I just laughed at it, because it's just words, right? So as a content creator, people are going to leave comments. And, and some of them are great. Some of them are really, really thought provoking and congratulatory, which is nice. And every now and again, you're going to get someone that dislikes you because you're too happy, or or when I been called a sham because this is a fake act that I do, and that's fine. But one of the things that I said earlier in the year is that there's a chance that Microsoft could see the same success garnered by both Sony and Nintendo in past blunders. And I hearken that back to the PS3, right? They even though they recovered, they rebounded and they edged Microsoft out in console sales. It was only a few thousand. It wasn't by a landslide. But they came back. But they had a disastrous, almost the entire generation PS3 with the cell technology and the way that they marketed it. And the PS4 comes out and it's a roles reversal, and they are the champions of justice. They are the darling of the market. And then you turn around, you look at Nintendo, the Wii. The Wii came out. It was bought by everyone that was 6 years old all the way up to 76 years old. And it was the largest selling console in the history of consoles. And everyone was buying it. Everyone loved Nintendo again. And the Wii U comes out, and it's an epic failure. Right, it's a huge failure. They barely sold, I think, 10 million units. It was horrible. And Microsoft, again, coming off of a huge success in the 360, dropped the ball. And we're not going to go into 2013 again. We're not going to go into the leadership problems that they had with Terry Myerson and good old Donnie D. We know what they did, so we're not going to rehash that. So I asked a question on one of the shows, and I don't recall what show it was. About why can't we give Microsoft the benefit of the doubt that they could see a resurgence the same way that both Nintendo and Sony saw a resurgence, and some of the messages I've got were on the level of hate mail. And of course, the chat is usually pretty good, but you're always going to get a jerk or two. And there were a lot of people that laughed, that scoffed at the idea. And now we're looking at January 6th. From the 12th of December, which is not even a full month, folks, right? We're still 6 days away from making a full month, a full 30 days since the most epic thing ever to happen in gaming, or at least the Game Awards. I mean, listen, I'm going to steal something from the Iron Lords. They said, and I believe this was Cognito. Obviously, he's my brother. He turned around and he said that he believed this was one of Phil's shining moments as the Xbox leader. And I'm going to take it a bit further and say that I think it was the shining moment, because this is his baby. This is him running the show. And if it fails, then it's on him. But it appears that it's not. So I want to go to Dreadpool, and I want to bring up one of the pictures I pulled from today that's been up here. Here's obviously a close shot of the console and a better shot of the controller. When you saw the thumbnail that everyone was passing around for the chip, and seeing how excited the community was, like the community has been on fire with excitement the last couple of weeks. What were your thoughts, dude?
First off, I already said it in the private chat. The 8 should be an anaconda in the shape of.
I like that idea. That is sharp.
Just have it like that. I mean, have another secret, design inside. You can only open it up to look at it, to see it, but let's put something in there. That would be awesome. Now, for real though, the design that they have out there is great for me. I love the ports out there. It has just basic ports. Now, I'm hoping that it's going to be USB-C Gen 2. And Gen 2 is going to be able to support 10 gigs of data transfer back and forth. So you're talking about a massive leap over the front port. So now if you have two of them, there's a lot more stuff. I've talked about it with other members of the community. Nobody has ever said it. I said it myself. It's my thoughts that because of those ports, you could hook up like a Quest or something like that. Okay, so I know I'm projecting out into the future of possibilities and hopes and dreams and wishes and kittens don't die and all that stuff. But you have something like the Quest that's powerful enough. You hook it up to the Xbox, there's enough transfer rate there that now you can actually turn it into a VR system. If they go that route, great. If they don't, not a big deal. The system is going to stand on its own as it is. The other ports going, it looks like it's got 2 ports, and I know Thurrott got an information from Microsoft saying that it's not what the back looks like. It was a render that AMD wasn't supposed to use. That's fine, but it gives us the idea, because we already know we're going to have Ethernet. We already know without a doubt it's going to be Wi-Fi in there, so you don't need to see a port for anything like that. We already know that it's going to have optical port out there for the audio, so that's going to be, you have to have that. It's all high-end stuff. The 2 HDMI ports, we already know that they're going to be 2.1. I'm going to assume it's a pass-through like we have already, which is good for me, because I still use my Xbox to watch all my cable stations. So everything goes right through. I'm always on Xbox, even though I'm watching TV. So for people like me that always use it for everything, so I'm excited to see how this goes. Just even the design, it may not be all compact. It may be a little bit more spaced out. Maybe that's why they're saying, "Oh, this isn't right." Who knows?
But
this is exciting.
like I said, I'm pulling up the render that was going around. Obviously, I pulled this from Wario64. You know him as a very, very popular tipster within the community.
Yes.
I added the wording of what the ports were going to be, and obviously, listen, it's I'm sure that it's going to be like that, if not identical, just maybe just spaced out different, like you were saying. But listen, all I can tell you is this. It is going to be a monster of a system, and we have a lot to get excited about. You know what? But I want to go right into, of course, the one of the main topics of tonight's show. And obviously, before I do that, there's a couple of like little mini announcements. First of all, our good friend Noof Nukem is in the chat. And first of all, if you didn't know who he was, he has an amazing YouTube channel that he's going to be spending a significant part of 2020, adding content to. And he just hit his 1,000th. I don't know how far he's gotten, so I haven't checked in a day or two. But with the help of this outstanding community, he was able to hit 1,000 subs on YouTube, and that is a big deal. So I just want to congratulate him publicly for that, because as a content creator, folks, that's a big deal. That is a really, really big deal. And secondly, I just want to make a little announcement. He is coming back this evening after this show goes off the air. He is going to be coming back with Primal Eve in his After Dark show on his YouTube channel. And again, if you want a little bit of a more grown up kind of a way to talk about video games, I would say head over to his channel and give it a listen to, because it is great. It is great content. It's just a little bit more adult. So big shout out to him for hitting 1,000, and great to hear that he's bringing back Gaming After Dark right after the primetime gaming episode goes done for the day. But let's move into, of course, the main topic. Now, before we do, Clowns, who is a regular panel member, he's been a bit under the weather, but he's still found a way, even though he is sick as a dog, to drop an outstanding and very generous $10 super chat. He says, "Sorry, I couldn't be on tonight." Boom, awesome topics. Listen, dude, you just make yourself. Again, this is a family first show, and you make sure you get yourself well so we can get you back here for some of the upcoming Xbox extravaganza episodes I'm sure we're going to be having. But let's get into the next topic, then one of the main topics. Now, as you can see by the title, right, the power narrative has been at the forefront of gaming since the days of Nintendo NES versus the Sega Genesis. And though the power struggle that's gone on as far back as that wasn't made mainstream until 2013 with the Sony PlayStation 4, when it was playing games at 1080p, and Microsoft's Xbox One that lost the focus of gaming, was playing their games at 900p, and at some games as low as 720p. Now, power was important then, and power is important now. And that narrative was changed to the first party games. And I'll be the first to admit that, a strong first party is ultra important. And there's no denying that a great looking and playing game like God of War or Uncharted 4 or even Spider-Man or Detroit Become Human are important to move consoles, to keep your fan base excited, to keep the consoles flying off the shelves. But we are finally moving into the next generation, and that clock has struck midnight. And for today's first topic, it's going to be all about power. And thanks to our great friend, Dealer Gaming, who has done some incredible videos recently, I was able to get some confirmed specs for both the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. And there is a clear and concise power leader, and it's not Sony. It's not the PS5, and it's not the brand that is known all over this world. It is currently the Xbox. Let me bring up the picture that I put together so I can show you side-by-side comparison. Now, the notes that I pulled, or the notes that Dealer pulled, were from a website called Tech Power Up, and they're known for rating AMD technology. And as you can see, the numbers are completely clear, right? Obviously, the Xbox Series X has 3,584 cores, as opposed to almost double what the PS5 has at 2,304, right? Now, the memory size, from what I understand, I believe has been updated, and I think that the Series X is going to be touting as much as 16, and the PS5 is going to be touting a memory size of 12. They're both running a Navi 10 architecture, which, of course, the graphics card in the Xbox Series X is built from the ground up, co-engineered with Microsoft and AMD. But I mean, just look at the bus width. It's 384 to the X as opposed to 256 to the PS5. Now, obviously, Gaming Forte, I want to go to you because obviously you work at GameStop and you got a chance to see how the mainstream media and just the general public swayed away from the PlayStation. I mean, from the Xbox to the PlayStation. And what I think is a little shocking to me as a content creator is that there are a lot of people still on the Twitter streets and doing YouTube videos that are claiming that power no longer matters. That it's okay that the PlayStation 5 is going to be less powerful. It's about the games, boomstick. Shove it up your nose. And you know what? The question that I have to ask the panel, the question I have to ask to nearly 160 people that are watching live right now is, once Microsoft has the power, once Microsoft has the price in the $299 Xbox Series S, as we've all donned it, and when they have the first-party games launching day and date into Game Pass with their new console, what is the excuse going to be then, Gaming Forte?
Let me pick my words wisely on it, because I got to stay consistent in what I've always said about these two systems. And this is and I probably come from a unique standpoint just because I also play on PC. And for me, I can never say that power doesn't matter, because that's the main reason why I play a lot of games on PC, because the experience you get is so much better than what you get on the consoles that we have today. It kind of drives you into that direction. Now, Microsoft made it a lot easier to do that because of the way that they support their games going forward, being able to play them anywhere you want to. Now, before that, there was no option. There was always a clear option. Well, I'm always going to be on console because that's where my friends play at. But now that we have the option to move wherever we want to, it kind of just opens up the barrier. And I really love Microsoft for doing that because they're giving customers and gamers the choice, something that they branded throughout this whole generation. So power always mattered. I think it mattered. I think it mattered more at the beginning of the generation last time, just because of the whole difference in price, and then the Xbox being a weaker system on top of that. So it was more of just fanboys wanting to have something to, stake their claim to. And I don't think that was the global narrative across everybody, because most people, honestly, it really just comes down to the games. If the games are available on that system and I can't get them anywhere else, that's going to take precedence over everything else. So I kind of see this generation playing out kind of the same way, but the only difference is the 80% of the casual base that don't care about the exclusives, where are they going to go? Now, I am a firm believer that Microsoft has an uphill battle to climb just for one reason and one reason only. They messed around and gave PlayStation such a big lead in the install base with this generation. And this is a generation they could not afford to do it in, because this is the true generation that a lot of people started going digital.
Yes.
So it really just comes down to this. If Microsoft's first party lands like we think they're going to land, and they're going to give people every reason to want to buy this system day and date and play on a console, and I'm talking about the people that just want to play on console, not people that want to play in both places, that's going to be a win for Microsoft. But then they have to get those third-party exclusives like they had during the 360 generation, like Call of Duty exclusives and stuff like that. We got to get back to getting all, like how Gears of War was exclusive to our system, and now they own the IP, but how it was exclusive to our system through the partnership with Epic. They have to get back to that, because that was the defining difference between the system, because not only did they have a powerful system, they had a system with better games on it, and developers picked that system over the PS3, even though the PS3 was a more powerful system.
Correct.
It was hard to optimize for. We had every game that played on both systems. Skyrim was like the most notorious one, but literally would skip across the screen. And I don't think that's going to be a situation that's going to happen this generation, but that is what the differences in those systems were then. So ultimately, games do matter. They definitely do matter a lot. And if Microsoft can bring us games, that will narrow that gap even more with Sony. But the 80% of the casuals out there that just want to play Call of Duty, NBA, Madden, and it also comes down to who comes first. Who's going to be the first one to release their system first? Because some people don't like to wait. And if they see two systems and they're comparable in power, because I don't think you're really going to see a huge, alarming difference between the system. There will be a difference, but it just won't be as alarming as some people think it will be. I think whoever releases first is going to have the heads up. And I think Microsoft definitely wants to be that first person, because I don't think you want Sony to say, hey, here's an opportunity to move some of our 100 million people over to the next system, because guess what happens? People run out of money and they have to wait till next year to get more money to buy the next system. I think next generation, we're going to get to what we had during the 7th generation, where people are going to have both systems. You're going to have a reason to have both systems. Xbox is going to be the more powerful system, so you're going to want to play all your multi-plat games on it. Sony is still going to have those bangers that you're going to want to play that's only available on there, because they're not going to put them on PC. So I think next generation, you're going to see a lot of double dipping from a lot of people, compared to this generation where people was like, I kind of don't need to get an Xbox. I got a PlayStation and I got a PC. Now, it's going to be way different, because the console is going to be so much stronger. Those people are going to find a reason. And especially if they give them the games, That's all that matters. So I don't want to skate around your question because I think it kind of falls in both places. The power definitely really does matter, but those games are going to tell the story that hasn't been told this whole generation for Microsoft.
No, it's a great point. Real quick, I have to address a question. More like an accusation. A gentleman by the name of Brandon Corbin in the chat. Now he asks a question. He says, "Boom. Why are you shoving bias rumors down people's throats? There have been leaks that says the PS5 is 13 teraflops, but you only show the ones that make Xbox seem superior." And then he's asking if I'm a fanboy. So see, here's the thing, dude. Listen, first of all, thanks for being here. I'm gonna entertain your question. I'm not insulted in any way. I don't like to be called a fanboy. I own probably more games and consoles than a good portion of the community. I have owned every console. Now try and process this, my friend. I have owned every console ever released in the Americas since 1978. Now, just sit on that for a hot second. So when you talk about bias, yes, am I talking up about Microsoft? You bet your ass I am, because quite frankly, I think you'll understand, and I think everybody in the chat, the 200 plus people that are watching, and the people on this panel have been waiting patiently to be able to talk about a brand that we love. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Sony, and I can tell you this, if you're interested in tech, because I'm not a techie kind of a guy, my spiel is writing original scripts, talking about games and having fun with it. But if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of who knows really what's going on, I tell you to head over to Dealer Gaming, head over to Zolker87, head over to D-Batch, Colt Eastwood. These guys that are a part of the RDX panel that happens every Tuesday are what I tune into as a content creator. And the information that I have provided that everyone has heard 10 times over is where they're where I'm getting the sources from. And also, they are in the know a lot more than most people give them credit for. So again, I'm not mad. I just want you to understand that. I want to thank you for being here. Thanks for the question. But I gotta be honest with you, man. You gotta be really cool about asking if I'm a fanboy. If you're new to the channel and you don't know, subscribe, man. I have 3 live shows a week, and I can guarantee you, when I talk up Sony, you're gonna be smiling from ear to ear because I do that on a regular basis. I think I could say that fairly.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll back you on this one thing, and just to close out just what you were just saying about that. The reason people don't talk about the 13, because that is out there. The rumor on that is like coming from 1 or 2 sources compared to the 9.5 or the 9.2, and we're getting a lot of the 10 plus ones now. And those are all coming from way more multiple sources. So those are more substantiated for what people are starting to see, compared to the just the one instance of people talking about 13 teraflops and stuff. We can only go off of what the majority is talking about versus what one person is talking about. And like you said, there's some good avenues out there for you can talk about, dealers really, really been nailing that stuff.
That guy knows his shit. He really does.
Dude, trust me, I get tired of hearing people talk about specs because I'm just ready for the system to freaking release.
We sure are.
But ultimately, we're in a podcast, and Boom is absolutely right. Xbox fans have been, PlayStation people have been talking so much junk about Xbox fans saying, hey, you're rooting for a dead cause. And Xbox fans have just been sitting there like, okay, play our games, just wait for Microsoft to make a move that's going to make us happy. And it was dark for Xbox people for a long time. People were just keeping their heads down and playing their games, not trying to be part of no fanboy stuff, but they love the system. But if you go on Facebook or Twitter and say that, you get called a fanboy by everybody. So guess what? Now that Microsoft finally has started to step up their game, they're giving the gamers, the Xbox fans, what they want. You're starting to see a little bit of, flamboyant people are strutting and stuff. And that's fine, because guess what? PlayStation fans done it all this generation.
They sure have.
360 fans did it all the generation.
They sure did.
So this is nothing new. So if you can't understand that, I don't know why you're watching. And like you said, it's not disrespect or anything, but it's podcast. That's what people talk about. You gotta, that's what the listeners want to hear. They want to hear about their favorite console, and the people that listen to this happen to be Xbox fans.
Well, I mean, listen, everyone is welcome here, folks. And I think I make that blatantly obvious because I do support. I mean, listen, the bottom line is if there was a Spider-Man 2 that I was playing right now for 60, 70 hours like I did on 1, I'd be taking screenshots and putting it up every 5 seconds. Right now, I'm playing A Plague Tale, and that game is gorgeous. And I'm playing it on the X, and it's amazing. And I'm taking tons of screenshots, and I'm putting it up there. And I've been banging the drum that Asobo Studio should become a Microsoft first party. But that's a horse of another color. But I want to go to Tempest, son. Tempest, look, here's the thing.
Yep.
Reset, places like Reset Era, the 4chan forums, and Reddit have been on fire with rumors and speculation on both the Xbox Series X, S, and the PS5 regarding power, price, release date, and behind-the-scenes information that the company does not want the public to know about just yet. But one of the more interesting discussions that have made the rounds on not one, not two, but all 3 social media platforms has been the talk of a PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, listen, I got to say this right now without stepping on anyone's toes or lighting anyone's ass on fire. If that, in fact, is the case, direct your hate and disgust, not at Little Boomstick for talking about it, but at Sony for letting you down as a fan. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. There's no doubt that Microsoft is probably planning some sort of a mid-generation thing.
Mm-hmm.
They all are. Even Nintendo, we're going to talk about that later on in the show, has the potential to release a Switch Pro. And that's coming from a very good known analyst in Japan. But if this is true, if this comes to fruition 1 year after the PS5 launches, and they do this to keep up with power, this is going to be an epic slap in the face to fans, an epic fail, and it's just going to prove that this might be the arrogant Sony that many people predicted could potentially wreak its ugly head. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if they do that, first of all, man, so many ways to take this. I think it'd be terrible, and I'm not saying that just because I prefer Xbox. Honestly, it'd be terrible in every way if they couldn't talk about it. Because if they talk about it, nobody would want to go out and buy a PS5. It's still going to be at least a $400 console. Nobody would want it. They'd want to wait a while to get the Pro version. That's one thing. The second thing, if it really would be a year afterwards, what's the Pro going to do? Obviously their goal would be make it more powerful than the Series X. But at that point, how expensive would this thing be? If it's only a year after, they got to let this new tech simmer a bit, man. They got to let it go for a bit. They can't just come out with something we're already looking at the Series X like it's too good to be true. Fast forward.
It's funny. I don't mean to cut you off, but because you're a PC tech guy, right? Yeah. You know the ins and outs of a PC. What this sounds like to me would be as if, let's say, for instance, you went out today, and you bought a 2070, right? Mm-hmm. And then 1 year later, you're like, you know what? I just spent $1,100, and I'm gonna break the piggy bank once again and go get a 1080 Ti. Mm-hmm. And spend $1,200. That's what this sounds like to me.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's just in line with that. I mean, at some point, you as a consumer, unless you're filthy wealthy, that's great. But not everybody is, man. Eventually, you got to look at it and be like, well, what am I going to do with my money? I would quite literally have to do the same thing, even though I'm an Xbox guy. I'd have to ask myself, do I want to get this or do I want to wait? And they can't come out with it that early. And honestly, if they feel like they need to come out with a PS5 Pro that soon, that just goes to tell you how horribly underpowered, and shame on Sony for resting on their laurels. honestly, I mean, if they didn't think, okay, if Xbox was so close to being shut down, and the exact opposite happened, they have 15 studios now. They came out with the Xbox One X, which just slapped the Pro in the face. It gave it a big old spank on the butt. I mean, all these things, that's not the sign of a dying company. They came out with the best gaming service ever, Game Pass, and it's growing and growing and growing. If they thought that Xbox wasn't going to bring the heat, man, and create a monster, that's resting on your laurels. I don't know what to say other than that. Like, kind of shame on them, honestly, for not wanting to come out with a better product, unless their whole goal was to come out with a more affordable product from the get-go. But even then, what's going to happen if there is somebody who just wants the new games, the new generation, quote unquote, games that really won't run on old hardware? Okay, like traditional generations have happened, and they don't care about power, but they want the new games. What are they going to buy? Are they going to buy the $400 system or the probably $300 system, the Lockhart? And I think that's why Microsoft has the perfect plan going into this. If you really don't care about power, but you just want to play the new stuff, here's an option for you. And I got to say this, I was thinking about it today. It was actually kudos to the Iron Lords podcast. It got me thinking, because they said the same thing. So I'm not going to plagiarize their words here, but seriously, it makes so much sense. Just listen, when you go to buy a new console at the start of a generation, you don't just think about the price of the console. No. You think about controllers, and you definitely think about that launch lineup. You could be, okay, let's say the new system is $500, rather PS5 or, Series X. $500, you in your head, you traditionally think, well, I have to put aside an extra $120 for 2 games. Because you're not just going to buy one game. Let's be honest. You want to test this puppy out, right? Normally, you have to think about controllers too. If it's some form of a multiplayer game, a fighting game, whatever, you're going to want more controllers. Microsoft has this all figured out. Do you realize you're going to be able to spend the $500 or $600, whatever it is, plus tax, bring this system home, use your old controllers, if it's or your Xbox Elite Series 2, and you're going to be able to boot up Game Pass and download the launch titles for this thing. Halo Infinite day one for no more money than your Game Pass subscription. You cannot say that. Even if Xbox is $100 more than the PS5, are you going to buy a PlayStation 5 and not buy a game?
Of course not. That's ridiculous.
No. Are you going to buy multiple games?
Sure. Probably, you are.
Unless you just absolutely can't afford it. So right then, you're only looking at a $40 difference, and that's rough math. It's probably less than that between the two systems. So on top of it, we also don't know what the new the trigger sensitivity or force feedback, whatever, on the new PS5 controller. They haven't said a word. At least I don't think I have.
They've been very quiet.
Yeah, they've been very quiet. I might be frauding on this, but I don't think they've said a word about using your old hardware on this new system.
They have not said anything about your controllers at all. No.
So if that means you can't use your old controllers, unless you're just a single player gamer or only play online, that's fine. But, most people, I think, in the chat and on the panel here, we have multiple controllers. You end up needing multiple controllers sometimes. So, honestly, even if the console's more expensive at launch, you're going to be saving money by going the Xbox route, especially if you get the Lockhart. So, I just think I don't know, folks. You know what? I don't know. I am an Xbox fan, even though I've probably played on my PC more my whole life than consoles. I do love Xbox, but I'm telling you, man, it's a different story this time around. It's different. And if anybody expects the same thing to happen in 2020 as it happened in 2013, I don't think it's subjective. I think you're just wrong. It's just different this time around. So
that's a really, really great point. You know what? We have Dreadpool I want to come to in a second. I have actually, because I have trust in him, I'm going to drop 2 megaton questions onto him. I think he can handle it, though. But before I do that, I have to thank a couple of people. LMNOPO, first of all, dude, thank you so much for being here once again. I talk with him on DM on a regular basis. He is an awesome guy and enjoys VR, from what I understand. He drops a $5 super chat, and he says, so Sony had a chance at CES And it's official. It's called the PS5. Yes, they showed a thumbnail of the PS5 and the crowd went to sleep. And Master Jazz 09, who I think is new to the channel. First of all, I want to say welcome, my friend. I hope that you are enjoying the content, and I want to thank you for your very generous and outstanding $5 super chat. He says, "Are you kidding me? We need Microsoft to do third-party exclusives like Call of Duty packs. You'll complain so hard about this. It's why they stopped." Well, no, hold on just a second. I am going to tell you that if you look at the direction that Microsoft has taken, more specifically in 2019, and you look at all of the third-party deals that they made, dude, this is a very, very different Microsoft, and the deals are coming. The third-party deals are coming. But Dreadpool, I want to come to you next with the two-tiered or two-pronged question. I like saying two-pronged, even though some people don't appreciate that term. Here is my question for you regarding the PS5. If the power difference is in fact confirmed to be a whopping 3 teraflop difference, who on Sony's team is to blame? And here is the second part of that question. If this comes to fruition, did Sony let their fans down now for the second time if you look back to the PS4 Pro?
Wow, that's going to be a hard one there. Obviously, the easiest answer would be Mark Cerny because he's the mastermind behind the tech. But you also got to remember he's not the only guy. There's other people that are looking into it. So for them to go with that, somebody had to decide if this is truly the number that they're going with. I mean, we've seen the slides, we've seen everything. You know, this is all that's been verified so far. In the leaks. So for this to be Mark Cerny, he must have an idea of saying that we can do it with just this. So I believe, you know, this guy's, when it comes to this stuff, he's kind of a genius.
Oh, he is.
You know what I
he
mean?
is a super genius, Mark. Don't take nothing away from Mark Cerny's prowess as a genius. The guy knows his shit.
That's why I really don't want to say it's his fault. You see what I'm saying? Because when you look at it, he probably has in his head how this is all going to lay out with only requiring this much. He doesn't need the extra 3 teraflops to get anywhere. He doesn't need that. He just needs this. So that's kind of the tricky question there. And what was the second one? I got thrown off.
Well, no problem. If in fact these numbers are true, because I see a lot of people talking about, well, just a second, Boom. Hold your horses with your rumors that you're spreading. Lies, I call them. Listen, folks, let me tell you something. Life is too short to get triggered where you're using caps and basically every keystroke available in the chat. I say sit back, take it easy, enjoy it. If you're not, hit the thumbs down button and go listen to something else. That's all I'm going to tell you. Now, in regards to these lies that I'm spreading, well, I am not the only one that has been talking these specs. You've never heard it say this is confirmed. Everything that I have talked about in weeks leading up to tonight's show has been speculatory, and I've said that live on the air. So cool your jets and just chill, because I never said that all of this was confirmed. I'm telling you what has been reported, and I am taking it on my show that I produce myself, and I'm running with the narrative. Now, if this narrative that pisses you off and you don't like it, well, there are two things you can do. You can give me the finger and hit the thumbs down button, and you can unsubscribe to the channel. And you know what? I'm good either fucking way. But with that said, let me continue with the second part of this question. If, in fact, these lies that I'm spreading there, Dreadpool, are come to fruition, and it is a 3 teraflop difference, would you feel let down as a Sony fan looking to them for power in the next generation, and this could be the same thing we saw happen with the PlayStation 4 Pro versus the Xbox One X.
Okay, well here's how I look at it. I used to race cars, so you can have the top dog engine you want, the mechanics working on that engine, but if you don't have the right driver going down that drag strip, it doesn't matter. Now, if you don't have the tires, yet again, it doesn't matter. If you have everything coherently together, you can make some wonders happen.
Yes.
Okay, you're down now with them saying this is all we need. Look at God of War. When they came out for the standard PlayStation,
It looked amazing,
just good,
beautiful.
So yet again, to me, that's the driver. The game itself are the tires. They took off, so they could still do it with these specs. Now it's just, yet again, we need the developers, we need the games. They all have to line up, and they can do it with a small car. Just because you have a Civic with a turbo on it, it doesn't mean that this guy in the Countach that doesn't know how to drive is going to kick your butt. He might end up in the wall. Same thing here. The games are what's going to matter. You know what I mean? Yeah, you could buy the car, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're in a pole. You're in a ditch. So these guys got to remember, it's not just the power narrative and being let down. Okay, so they might not have the power, but yet again, if it's designed properly, the internals can actually operate better. So there is a chance that they will have the power that they're looking for, but not in those numbers. Teraflops are great, but it's just a measurement. We need to know the CPU, how many cores, how many this, what's the speed. You need to know all this stuff and how everything meshes together. If you don't do that right, it doesn't matter. They pulled out the PS3 back in the day and they said, get a second job. That's a little overconfident. If they're going to do that again here, this is where they're going to run into a wall. Their overconfidence. So we need to hope that both companies pull out their A games, pull out the guns. We need to have a good shootout. We need to have them really competing with each other and really do against each other. And that's where we win. We get the consoles we want, we get the games we want, and we have the fun we want. And this is, yet again, this is just talk. We don't know what the numbers are. We know what they're reported as through the leaks. And all we're doing is talking. We want to know what they're thinking, but we don't know. We know that they're walking around. One's crouching and he's going to jump out, and the other one's walking around like he's Vince McMahon. So we got two different styles here right now. It's good to see that Microsoft is finally being aggressive. Now we're waiting on to see what Sony's got. Are they actually going to jump out of the bushes and be like, "Aha! Here you go. Here's the actual console. Here's the actual specs." We don't know, and that's the excitement of having both of these leaks coming out from each side and what they have and what they're supposed to have and the projections. Hopefully we'll see it this year sooner than later, so we can put some of this stuff down. We shouldn't be fighting over all this stuff. We should be comparing and like two steaks. Do you want the filet mignon or do you want the porterhouse? Which one do you want? Why do you want this flavor? Do you want, these steaks are both awesome steaks, but which one is your style? And that's where we should be, hey, check out this game that we have over here. Hey, no, you know what? Check out this feature we have over here. Hopefully you guys get it too. I mean, I was going back and forth with somebody earlier in the chat with questions on USB and the USB-C in the background, in the back of the console. Well, yeah, you might have to buy an adapter, but wouldn't it be also, you don't think PlayStation 5 is going to do the same thing? You don't think they're eventually going to have a USB-C? Technology is going that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's better transmission. It's better quality that we're going to actually have. It's not just a read from a hard drive and wait its turn for the next one. You know, we're limited right now. We're maxing out the data and specs of each console and their technologies that they're using. So this new technology that everybody's putting together in two different fashions is an exciting thing. So I hope I answered it right. I know I kind of went off a little bit, but it's just I'm just excited that finally Microsoft is stepped up, grabbed the crotch, and said, "Here you go." You know.
Well, listen, it's going to be interesting to see which way they go. Before we move on to the next topic, I have to thank a couple of people, very generous people for that matter. Corey Polo with the outstanding $15 super chat. He says, "Gaming is for everyone, no matter the platform." Very well said there, Corey. Xbox will have 25% more power for 25% more money. Cannot wait for the Series X. And I agree with that. Sony's machine, it appears, based on what we're hearing, they went for price over power. I know a lot of people. I've seen a lot. I personally know people that would have gladly paid the $100 more to have the specs that have been out there, comparable to one another. But Sony didn't think so. And you know what? Like I said, I'm getting both day one. I have money put away for it already. And Kay Asante, the outstanding $10 super chat. He says, "Folks, Sony as a company isn't on the same level as Microsoft. They may not be able to afford the subsidized such a huge beast like Microsoft does with the Series X. MS has a lot. Sony only has PlayStation these days." Yes, and I will agree with you on that. They have been bleeding money for years on their electronics division, and the only money that they started bringing in, keeping them in the black, so to speak, has been the deal with Disney to bring Spider-Man into the MCU. Obviously, they broke $1 billion with Spider-Man Far From Home. And of course, their animation department does do really good Sony animation. So they are making some money there. But that's it, folks. So the PlayStation is where it ends and starts for Sony as a company. But I want to move on to the next topic. Now, we are going to talk about Game Pass for a second. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because this is, in my opinion, folks, Sony's Achilles heel. Now, I've publicly said this, that I've hoped and prayed that Sony would eventually adopt a Game Pass-esque service, identical. I don't care if they bite off of Microsoft down to the T, but I would love for Sony and Nintendo, for that matter, to offer their first-party games in a service that has me paying $10 to $15. I'll even pay $20 a month, or get it, buy it a year in advance to be able to play all of, especially like if Nintendo told me, "Hey, boom, it's $20 a month, but you can play every first and second and third party exclusive that we have in our Nintendo Pass for the family," I'm all in, because I love their games. And the one thing about Nintendo games is that they do not ever go on sale. For crying out loud, Zelda Breath of the Wild, even on sale, is $50. And that game is old as hell. So I would love a service like that. Now, when this next generation officially starts in the fall of 2020, many things are going to be done by both companies to pull consumers to their new hardware. There are several things that will be missing from Sony's arsenal, and the major ace in the Microsoft hole, or up its sleeve, is, of course, the game-changing, pun intended, Xbox Game Pass. Now, on June 1st, 2017, the Xbox Game Pass launched onto the platform, and many in the industry, and we know who said it, that it was basically a never was, that it was going to damage the brand, that it was going to devalue Microsoft and the Xbox platform. And of course, I'm happy to say that not only were they dead wrong, Xbox Game Pass is a raging success and is the best and most consumer-friendly service in gaming today. Now, as we already have talked about and hopefully started saving for, 2020 is going to be one of the most expensive gaming 12-month years in the history of gaming. And why do I say that? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, you have two consoles, and we're going to talk about the potential of a Switch Pro, which of course I will get as well, because I would love a more powerful Switch. But as someone had said, or I'm not sure who, I think it was someone had on the panel alluded to the fact that when you go to buy your console, you're thinking about shit. This mother jumper is $500 plus tax. I have to send my kids to school. I got to pay my rent. My cable's due. Damn, the new iPhone 17 just came out. Shit, I want that. And you take someone like me. I'm retired, and out loud, that's great. Boom, you're retired. Good on you, my brother. But when you're used to doing mondo amounts of overtime like I was, well, you have to get used to working with what they give you, what you've earned. And it's once a month, folks. Now, I'm not crying the blues here because I figure it out one way or another. I'm not robbing Peter to pay Paul. There's just some games that I just don't get out of the gate like I used to. I mean, I wait for the end of year sales, and I go to GameStop and I get the buy two, get one free. And that's sure enough as what I did during the holiday. Mm-hmm. But when you look, and I knew you'd appreciate that, Forte.
Buy two, get two free the day after Christmas. Did you miss it?
I did miss it. I'm mad as hell. But that's okay. Man. It's okay. I don't want to hear anymore. I'm going to be devastated. Okay. Well, anyway, getting back to the Xbox, and again, this may piss some people off, but we're talking about Xbox because they have Game Pass, and unfortunately, Sony does not. Their service sucks, and I'll be the first one to tell you, because even at the cheap price that they offered it, I didn't want no part of it. And a perfect example of that is the 3 big games that they put in there 6 weeks ago in Grand Theft Auto 5, God of War, and Uncharted 4. Well, guess where they are? They're back out of the service, and you don't have them anymore. So they duped you if you jumped in. They were not duping me because I knew what they were talking about. When you go to pick up either your Xbox Series X, which is, again, $499 is what we're hearing, or the $299 entry casual level for the Series X, you're going to be able to go home that day. And these are the potential launch games that are going to be in your digital box for, if you have Game Pass. Now, if you don't, there are other rumors that they're going to be attaching a 3-month pass to every console sold. So again, these are potential launch titles. I don't want to be called a liar on the air live again. I just want to say that these are potential titles. Just imagine if you bring home your console. You don't buy another thing. You don't buy nothing but that console. This is what you could possibly be downloading the same day. Halo Infinite confirmed. Either Forza Motorsport 8 or Forza Horizon 5. One of those games, one of those racers are going to be available. Gears Tactics, Microsoft Flight Simulator by Asobo Studios, and possibly Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. I still think they've been in development for that game for 2+ years, but that's just my speculation. Now, there's going to be at least 2 third-party exclusives from what we're hearing, plus the potential of some smaller single and AA titles. Forte, I have to go to you first. Let's just say for shits and giggles that all we get is Halo Infinite, a new Forza game, and Gears Tactics, the 3 pillars that hold the Microsoft Corporation and the Xbox brand high to the sky. Would that be enough for you?
Yeah, definitely be enough. That's all I kind of need. I mean, once Microsoft showed the box, and I believe in the form factor of what the system's going to do, being a PC enthusiast, I was like, yeah, I got to get an X. I got to get this Series X now, man. It's a day one purchase for me. I was really on the fence for a while because I didn't know what direction Microsoft really wanted to go in. But once they started doing what they've been doing ever since December 12th, it's been like, okay, I'm in 100%. And the thing is, Boom, we're going to E3 this year.
You
E3
damn right we are. We're going to live together for a week.
Right. We're gonna be together talking about this for a week. So I'm thinking like, okay, $600+ plus spending money at E3. Then you talk about 2 to 3 months later dropping another $400 to $500 to $600 on an Xbox. And then if you want to get games that day, well, I take that back. You ain't got to buy games because they're all gonna be a Game Pass, so it's even better. So you're gonna buy that system, and then just say you got enough money to stretch your wings and buy a PlayStation. Look, man, I ain't got $1,600 to be spending this holiday like I did in 2013. It's kind of crazy out here now. And then Christmas is coming up too. Oh no, man. I got family. My wife will look. I ended up with an Xbox One and a PS4 day one last year. And the only reason it happened last year, because my Xbox was already paid off. I walked in the house on the day the PlayStation released because the Xbox came out a week later. She was like, "Where's your PlayStation 4 at?" I was like, "At the store," because I can't, in good faith, buy this system knowing I'm about to spend $800 on this Xbox next week because of all the games that's coming out. And she looked at me, and you'll appreciate this, Boom, because your wife does the same thing. She said, "Do you want the system?" I said, "Hell yeah, I want the system." Go get the system.
That's a good old wife there.
My wife is the reason I ended up with both systems day one.
Can I just add something to this scenario? Because they said this on the Iron Lords. I nearly fell off my chair while I was cleaning today because I take care of the house while the wife is working, so she don't have to do anything. That's what I do. QW Vampire brought up a great scenario that they brought up on, I believe it was King David that brought this scenario to the forefront. And I think that this scenario is in fact going to be true. Now, we know that Cyberpunk 2077 has been rumored for Game Pass. Some people said day one. Some people said launch title Xbox Series X. Just imagine for a second. Let's just take those 3 titles and say that, okay, we know that the new game by the developer that everyone knows and loves in CD Projekt Red is releasing in I think it's the first month of the second quarter. I think it's April, right?
Yes, it's in April.
Okay, so let's say it releases in April. It's going to sell 5 million copies the first week. I'm telling you, by the time the fall comes, it's going to have sold 10 million copies. No doubt about it. But this is where the scenario goes ape shit. I just said Halo Infinite. I just said Forza Horizon, whatever. I just said Gears Tactics. Could you imagine, because we know that Microsoft has the marketing deal, could you imagine if they go in deep down and they pull out that ace and they put on the box, you can play Cyberpunk 2077 in Game Pass and it's enhanced for the Series X? I think it's game over, Sony.
Look, man, I'll put it like this right now. If Microsoft clip this video, have it ready for when the X comes out, if Microsoft puts that in Game Pass or bundles that with the system next year, because I already have, by the time the X comes out, most of us, all the hardcore people, will already own that game because we ain't gonna wait till the X comes out to play it. But if they bundle it in the system with the X, which is going to sell even more copies of it because people are going to be like, man, this is a game of the year type game and it's available for free with the system. Look, if they do that, I will give away my copy of that game that comes in the box with the system. Right? I'll put it on Twitter the moment I get home and open the box if that happens, because that would be a power move. And if they put it in Game Pass day one, That's even more of a power move. Look, man, this year is all about what Microsoft is righting the wrongs of all future past. That's what they're doing right now. They're telling all their gamers, like, hey, remember the things we did wrong back in 2013? Remember what we did wrong in 2015? Remember when we stopped developing games for the Xbox 360 back in 2011? Remember all that stuff, Xbox fans?
Mhm.
Guess what? We're not going to do that to you no more. All you're going to remember is, remember when we gave you Game Pass? Remember when we gave you Play Anywhere? Remember when we gave you the Xbox One Elite controller? Remember when we gave you Series 2 Elite controller? Remember when we gave you the Xbox Series X? Remember when you guys said the Xbox wasn't strong enough, so we gave you the Xbox One X? That's all I'm remembering now. And at this point, that's going to be the narrative all this year. And all Microsoft got to do is just keep talking the positive talk in the games. And when the games start coming out and we start getting even more value out of Game Pass, because at this point, Game Pass can't be no better than it is. It's like right now, how can you make something that's already 100 out of 100? I mean, all you just keep adding games to it and make it more valuable. And I think if Cyberpunk ends up in there, game over. Microsoft will win this generation. I won't say they win a generation because it's kind of hard to win a generation where you're not available everywhere. I think Sony might just do that just because of just the sheer amount of people that can buy the system in different territories. But the place that matters the most for Microsoft is here in America and in their neighboring countries that they have the biggest support is. That's why they won the 360 generation, or that's why it's a cease that they consumed that they won the 360 generation. They can have a commanding lead here in America like they did for 360, where it was 1-5. For every 5 Xboxes that were sold, 1 PlayStation was sold here in America. And guess what? And if they can pull that off again, we're talking about not only a returning Microsoft, a better Microsoft.
Listen, it's going to be very interesting. I like that you named it as a power move, because that would be that might be, you ever heard that, we've heard the term shots fired.
Yeah.
This is cannon fired.
This is Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, this is putting your stake in someone else's sand and saying, this shit is mine, bitch. That's what it sounds like to me.
That's what we want to hear from Microsoft, though. That's what's been missing this whole generation. At first it's like they were saying, well, the developers aren't saying that the Microsoft isn't in tune with their fan base. I always say the one thing I appreciated the most about what they did at the Game Awards, we always say Sony and Nintendo had their oh my God moments.
They did.
Those my God moments is what propelled them through this generation. Microsoft never had that until December 12th, 2019, this generation, when everybody that really cared about Xbox was like, oh my God, did they just do that? And that is what is propelling them through the beginning of this year. And if they continue to keep doing that, man, look out below.
I agree. Real quick, I have to thank Elemental PO with the outstanding additional $2 super chat. He says, bring back those Peter Moore memories. Yes, I agree. And our good friend Philly Eagle, thanks so much for being here, dude. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, 2013 Xbox is gone, along with the assholes Meyerson and Matrix. Good point. 2 a-holes. Hold on a second. Okay, there we go. No need to bring that back up. They are gone. We move forward, not backwards. Yeah, I agree. But you know what? We learn from our mistakes, and I think Microsoft has learned from theirs. Tempest, son, I want to go to you next, because I think that, along with me, you understand what it is to support multiple consoles, and sometimes difficult decisions on games that you really want have to be made, because family is always going to come first, right? Responsibilities as a man, a husband, a dad, a father are always going to come first. And why the Game Pass factor it holds a very serious relevance to this particular topic is because every one of the games that we just discussed are going to be in Xbox Game Pass. And what's more interesting is that they could tout that. If they do this, if they market this up right, they are going to be able to if they could spin it in a way that not only gets the hardcore, right, the 15 to 17% of your business, the hardcore are going to go out and buy the big daddy. We're going to spend, if the X is $5.99, we're buying it. If it's $4.99, we're buying it. If it's $4.59, we're gonna buy it. But to grab the casual market, you see, this is the key. A good portion, and a lot of people don't talk about this, which is why I'm glad that we're bringing it up right now. A good portion of PlayStation 4 players were Xbox 360 players, not your hardcore, but your casual market. Now, the casual market, out of the 110 million consoles that have been sold worldwide, which is an epic number for Sony. For all I know, it could be 115 at this point. 85% of that 110, 115 is your casual market. These casuals buy NBA, 2K, whatever, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, and maybe they'll buy Madden and one other game. Mm-hmm. If your average game player, your casual average game player, buys 2 to 3 games per year, if they release the Series S, which is supposedly going to be 4 teraflops, but it's going to be a newer, faster GPU and CPU, which is going to make it more powerful than the current X, which is an amazing console. It's going to run next generation games. It's probably going to be, I think it's going to be probably a 1440p / 60 FPS console. You're probably going to get your 50 or your 60 FPS, but you're probably going to get it at 1440p, which is fine for $299, right? If you could market to this casual group of Xbox 360 players and say, yes, Halo is back, Gears is back, Forza is back, all of these games, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games are in Game Pass. All you have to do is buy the system. Is there a potential for a switch in ideology when it comes to that gaming verse?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, and this is a real thing here when we get on these podcasts. Obviously, the people listening, very low chance that they're the quote unquote casual, yada yada. We're all hardcore here, but when we say things like the casuals do this, they do that, they really do. Like my job, I go out and I talk to many people. I work on their car. Would I prefer to be left alone? Sure. But sometimes people just want to talk and they just want to watch you do the work. And so I talk to a bunch of different people and, what am I going to strike up? My favorite thing is gaming. So I'm like, you game, yada, yada. 9 times out of 10, I get the feeling that they might be casual. Sometimes I'll actually talk to a hardcore gamer and that's kind of cool. I get somebody to talk to while I do the job. But, these casual gamers, they are exactly what they are. I mean, I hate to say it, and there's nothing wrong with it, but they're very
there's not.
There's nothing wrong with it, but they're also very predictable. They just are, and I think it's almost a tried and true thing. If you can sink your claws in them, they'll make a switch. I don't think they care. I really do not think they care.
Well, you know why I agree with you? I agree with you because you said something earlier that I kind of want you to refocus on.
Yeah. If
the Call of Duty, Madden, or 2K plays better on the Series S or comparable, like I said, remember now Sony's machine is going to be probably $400.
Yeah.
But a casual will say, wow, it's $100 more and it plays just as good on this. Plus I get all of this in Game Pass. I think I'm going back to Xbox.
Oh yeah. Oh no, yeah, they'll focus on that. They will, because they don't care for the most part. They really don't. And you know why they got a PS4? I'll tell you why they got a PS4. Because somebody in the hardcore space told them to. Earlier on in this generation, It was just PS4 is the way to go. Xbox sucks. Now, whether you feel that was the case or not, it doesn't matter. That was the narrative running for the first, and that's when PS4 had no exclusives, or none that you should care about, at least. and it was still PS4 is great, Xbox is garbage. That was just the narrative. And so a lot of these casuals, I mean, they do only buy COD every year or Madden and stuff like that. It's just, it sounds, to us hardcore, it sounds kind of cringy, but dude, that is the way it is. That's just what these people do. And at some point in time, they went into a GameStop. Forte can probably back me up on this. How many times have you gone to a GameStop and you could just tell that the mindset of some of the employees is they wanted to sell you a PlayStation. They didn't want to sell you an Xbox, I mean, if that's what you asked for, of course they're going to give it to you. But I've been in their shoes before. I've talked to like GameSpot employees and stuff like that, or Best Buy employees. And there was a bias amongst, the hardcore a few years ago because Xbox wasn't doing their job right, and so it is what it is. But at some point in time, a hardcore told a casual, if you want a system, you want a game, you want to play Madden, go get yourself a PS4. And they might have even said it looks better because at the time it did. So, at this point, one thing they need to do for Game Pass is they need to actually tell you how many freaking games are in the service. I think right now it's over 250.
It is over 200 games.
Lose this over 100 games bullcrap. Over 250 games for all of them what you download. This is no streaming BS or anything like that. You just download these things, and they're newer games. I mean, just like Netflix can get their hands on some movies that just recently came out and only have been out in DVD or Blu-ray for maybe like a month or so. And you're like, oh, wow, they have that already? Dude, that's Game Pass. And every single game that Microsoft has the marketing rights to, which let's be honest is a lot, it ends up in Game Pass. It does. That's why I'm convinced that Cyberpunk at some point is going to be in Game Pass. Don't know when, but it's going to be. It just is because they had their marketing rights for it. And I'm pretty sure every single game they've had the rights for, besides maybe EA's games because they have their own service, has gone to Game Pass. So, it's going to take a kind of a shift in value, a shift in the perception of the hardcore. And I think that's already happening. I mean, it's almost silly how sucker punched, I think, no pun intended because they got the studio, Sony is right now. I mean, there was so much talk, so many Sony fans and stuff. I mean, I almost feel bad for them. The CES showing of Sony was a complete joke. I
think it was actually a big of a letdown. I'm actually quite disappointed.
Dude, the only thing they actually showed was a new logo, and it looks exactly like the PS4 logo. I look like that Jackie Chan meme where he's like, oh, like what the heck? That's how I feel. I don't understand. I just really don't. And we're getting all these little tidbits from Microsoft. I mean, the hardcore aren't blind. So if they can get their hands in us, almost more importantly, we're going to tell, listen, when I do these jobs and I talk to these casuals, I'll let them know that there is Game Pass. And most of them are like, huh? Like, really? There's a service like that? I'm like, yeah, there is a service like that. Now, do they go out and get it or not? I don't know. But who knows? I know some of my friends who just play a lot of games, but aren't really they're not listening to this podcast. Maybe they should be, but they're not listening to podcasts or anything like that. They all have Game Pass now. I mean, some of them got it without me, but a lot of them have it because I told them about it. And I'm a hardcore game player. I play games every single day. And if I don't, I'm like, so it just is what it is, And, but the biggest thing is they need to aggressively advertise Game Pass like they are. I just think they need to change the messaging a little bit because their quick little commercials or whatever you call it, it's not cutting the mustard. Just if you have over 250 games, say it. And the other thing too is they need to, like right now, my kids, if they want to, can go on the Xbox. They can go on the family friendly section. I mean, I trust my kids. They know what they can and can't play. But if I had to, I could put up parental controls, but they have free reign on the Game Pass section. It's like a kid in a candy store and all the candy's free. It's free to them. They don't pay the subscription. They can just go on and download all the games they want to, all the family friendly games. I mean, if they were to list it like that, be like, hey, $2.99, buy the, Series S and let your kids go ham. I mean, that's not how they'd say it, but I mean, they have a service on here that they could just, oh man. And we haven't even talked about Game Pass through xCloud or anything like that. I mean, it's just endless potential here. And I do think they need to change the messaging a little bit, but man, it's it's exciting stuff. It really is. So I'm done.
No, that's okay. First of all, Dread, before I get to you, I have to welcome Slow-Mo Backslap to the show. Welcome, my friend. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Boom. I had to jump in. I know you had asked me how I was doing tonight, and I'm like, look, man, if I can get these kids to bed, we can talk.
Well, listen, you know what?
I had to give them some Robitussin, to finish them off, but we got it going.
Father of the year right there.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
You right about that.
But yeah, I'm glad to be here, man. I see you guys are getting into some next gen talk.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about the Xbox and the power differential, and does power matter? Apparently, again, we've seen this many times on social media that power only matters when Sony has it. I mean, that's the running joke, and when Microsoft has it, well, it's the games. And of course, I asked the question. And I'll bring it back to you. I ask you, and Dreadpool, I'll come back to you in a second. The question that I asked was, well, when Microsoft has the power, right, with the X being 12 teraflops or 12.19 teraflops, as it's been alleged by numerous sources, because so a few people were like, why am I spreading my lies? But that's a horse of another color. Okay, so once they have the power, and if the Lockhart or the Xbox Series S, as we've donned it, has the price factor where it's a $299 box that's more powerful than the current Xbox X, the Xbox One X that we have, and they have the games, and we know that they're 15 studios and some big games as potential launch titles, and those games are in Game Pass. What's the running narrative going to be then?
Well, there won't be, because at that point, if they got the price, if they got the power, and they got the games, that's checkmate. They got everything that you need as a gamer in order to enjoy their platform. And I mean, for me personally, I would love to see that. I would love to see them be able to do that, especially on the games front. Now, in regards to how, and look, we see it with fanboys all the time. Power doesn't matter when they don't have the power. When it does matter is when we have the power. And there was like a time, sometime last year, maybe like a couple of months, and sometime in 2019, where the running rumor mill was saying that PlayStation 5 was significantly more powerful than the next Xbox. You guys remember that, right?
What, saying that it was more powerful?
Yeah. I specifically recall a lot. There was I can't remember who it was. There was someone who works for either GameSpot or something like that said, well, I'd heard this, and it was someone else, and Colin Moriarty.
You're talking about Andrea Renee, I think.
Yes. Yeah, it was. And so everyone ran with that. See, they don't have the power negative the narrative anymore. Ha ha ha. And it's like, now it's like, well, the power doesn't matter. But like, this is why I don't listen to certain fanboys, because it's for them, it's always going to be whatever makes my piece of plastic look the best. It's almost like watching, and I don't want to get political, but some of these like news stations that have a certain slant. It's the same news that everyone else gets, but somehow your title looks really different than everyone else's, And so it's just, I don't even listen to that kind of stuff, because power does matter to a point. It matters to a degree where it's good to make sure that the developers can do everything that they want to do with their games, that they don't have to compromise their games in order to make sure it works on your platform. That's where power matters for certain. And for some people, power is it's the number one thing on their checklist. And for those people, that's why you got a PC. You get a PC so you can make sure.
Race, here we come.
Yeah, exactly. You get it if you want power to be. If power really, really matters to you, you can't wait for the NVIDIA to drop their 3080 series,
right?
GPUs, because they're going to be vastly more powerful than whatever AMD is going to drop, and that's going to be that $2,000.
I was just going to say $2,000 card. Jesus.
Right. Yeah. If power really matters and performance really matters to you, you're out there trying to drop down $3,000 on these Asus and Acer monitors that's supposed to be 4K and 360p. I'm sorry, 360 hertz. So if that's you, go ahead and but if you're in the console space, power don't matter that much to you, bro.
Well, let me ask Slow-Mo one good question, because Boom, can I do that super chat real quick?
Oh yes, please. The gamer by choice.
Yes.
Well, thanks for being here, dude. Really appreciate that.
So gamer by choice, and this is a question I want to ask you, Slow-Mo, because you just got here. So gamer choice short with the dazzling $5 super chat says, if PS5 is 9.2 teraflops at $399, then what price point do you think the Lockhart needs to be successful at 4 teraflops? And the reason I want to ask you that, Slow-Mo, we're talking about power. And we know that those two systems are going to be the more powerful one. But we also know the Lockhart is going to be the bread and butter that's going to basically push the generation forward. They're going to sell way more of those than anything. So what do you think that system needs to be priced at in order to basically hit the biggest entry base?
I think it needs to be priced at $300.
Yep, $299. That is correct.
If it's $300, that's going to be perfect. It's going to be perfect for multiple reasons. It's going to be perfect for the casual gamer. It's going to be perfect for the primarily PlayStation gamer who isn't a PC gamer. He doesn't want a PC. He only wants to game on consoles, but he can also get that as his secondary system to play exclusive Microsoft games. You could get a $300 Lockhart in Game Pass and be set.
And be good to go. Especially we were talking about that with the launch titles. That before you got here, we said potentially. Again, this is potential. Day one, you could get Halo Infinite, a new Forza, Gears Tactics, Microsoft Flight Simulator by Asobo, and the potential of 2 to 3 second, third-party exclusives, plus potentially some smaller single and double A games that would be in there for launch, and going anywhere between 8 to 10 launch titles in Game Pass, and all you had to spend was $300 and be a subscriber, which is probably going to be at least 1 to 3 months what we're hearing in the box.
Right. You're probably going to get like a 2-3 month deal.
We've heard 3.
Just like a code just for purchasing the console.
Yes,
you can't go over $300 because I mean there's some rumors out there the PS5 may be $400. I don't know. I can see it being $4 because that $400 is the sweet spot for Sony. They like it. It works for them. They sell well there, but you can't go over $300.
They better pray that Microsoft doesn't drop the price and compete at $500.
Well, I mean, hey, if they're at $400, I think the Series X would be $500. I don't think they'll ever go too far above.
Yeah, I think it's $499. That's what I
think it's $499.
Too far above, some people are going to be like, and we got to think about like the kind of casual, not casual, but the console gamer isn't down with spending the kind of prices that a PC gamer would spend. And us hardcore guys, we're going to buy both anyway. But a lot of the vast majority of people who buy consoles, they're going to be looking at like, I will buy one, and then maybe a couple years later, I might buy a second one, like from the competition. But for my first, if it's $600 and the PS5 is $400. Are you really a $200 difference? And then like if the games come out, not. Exactly. The games come out and it's like they of course look and run better on the Series X, but it's not to the layman. They're like, they ain't $200 worth
exactly.
More.
Yeah, but $200 would kill them. It would
right.
Kill them.
Right. They will be like, I'm just gonna get a PS5. Get to play a lot of the same games, and they perform great because the CPU performance is way higher.
Yes,
and the GPU is good enough. Then they're going to do that. They're going to definitely do that, and that would be. I think that would be to their detriment because they'll be kind of pushing some gamers to the PS5 if they did that. This
is what I and I agree with that 100%. This is what I want Microsoft to do. I got real bullish on Microsoft, especially with the stuff they've been doing over the last month. I want them to take this power move that they're doing and literally shove it all the way up Sony's butt right now. Because I truly want to see what's going to happen this generation. Because I feel like Microsoft is in a situation, we know they have ducats for days. They're not running out of money. I feel like overall, the Xbox Series X, if Sony comes out at $400, I think the Series X, I don't say it's going to meet the price of the PlayStation, but I think you want to put a leash around their neck.
There's no way they're going below 500. That's
I'm just saying. Yeah. I feel like if you got the two-prong attack, and I think you're going to be at the $299 price point with one. I just think that, not say that you drop the price below 500, but I think you add so much value, like a year of Game Pass and everything into that box for $500 to offset the rest of that price. It's going to be, I think you want to make it like something where people just can't like even think about not getting it. It's like at this point, I'm getting a free year of Xbox Live, a free year of Game Pass, all these games for a whole calendar year, and the system for basically the price I was going to pay for it anyway. I think that's just a power move that they need to make. And if they could do something like that, dude, I honestly believe this generation will.
Forte, you might be on to something, man. You really might be on to something with that, because really, like, value when it comes to services,
because that's all it's about is value for them.
Yeah. So like they've already said that we've already seen that they'll go pretty far in regards to Game Pass to try to get people in.
They're giving it away for
$1 for like 3 months. For guys like you and me, when we had like multiple years built up at Xbox Live, $1 to convert that all to Game Pass Ultimate, like that's a no-brainer deal right there. We've already seen that they'll do stuff like that, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if you purchased a Scarlet console, whether it's the Lockhart or the Series X, and they say, hey, look, 1 year of Game Pass, right? Packed in.
Right on the box, like all the first-party titles with Halo. They can literally put Halo on the box and say every version of Xbox Series X comes with a copy of Halo.
Yeah. Now, what really sells that, though, what really has to sell that is that at E3, they have to really get gamers to feel like, oh my God, do you see that game? Did you see that?
Yeah, that's why we're not going to talk about it on this show. I have it lined up for Thursday's show, but we're going to be talking on Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast as to why it's important for them to have their own event in May. And I have evidence that suggests that AMD is going to be there with them in May. Get all the hardware stuff out of the way. Get it all out of the way, and then just when E3,
nothing but the games.
It's just banger after banger after banger. Real quick, I have to shout out Predman in the chat. He says, "Boom! PS5 reveal on February 20th, 2020 confirmed." Again, I'm doing the show, and I have not seen anything. I'm going to be looking at that as soon as I get off the show. But yeah, really good stuff, dude. And I know people have been asking in the chat, where did I get these designs? As you can see in the right-hand corner, this is these designs for custom consoles for the Series X come to us courtesy of our Lord and Savior, known as the Xbox Pope, who did these designs. I'm going to bring up a few other ones. I'll come back to you in a hot second, but I want to get Dreadpool's opinion on this Game Pass situation. And here's my question to you, Dreadpool. What are your thoughts on the potential of Microsoft hitting on all cylinders and beating Sony at their own game, offering all of these unbelievable experiences in Game Pass day one for the power price of free, because there is talk of a 3-month card being included in every console sold?
Well, it's going to be it's going to be down to the people that are going to be there, the salespeople. When you walk into into a GameStop wearing a Microsoft shirt to pick up your pre-order, and they look at you and you're like, "What are you here for?" And you're like, "I'm here to get this pre-order." And they're like, "Is it for PlayStation?" And you're looking at them like, "Are you serious?" Are you insulting me like this? And it's happened multiple times to the same one. It's like, this is the problem. It's not just Microsoft putting it on the box, Microsoft it. It's like we said, it's the hardcore. They're putting out the messaging. People listen to us. When we tell our friends, I've got a friend that plays PC, did not even know about Game Pass, and he's got an Xbox. You know what I mean? I've got another friend that knows about it, but he's a very, very big casual. He only plays Madden and like Need for Speed. And he hasn't liked Need for Speed since back in, what was it? Underground, the original first 2 Undergrounds. That's it. But that's all he does. He plays Madden all the time. He plays all the variations of it, but that's what he likes. And he knows about it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that's his style. That's what he likes to play. Yeah, he used to come over and we used to all play Halo together back when it was the original OG Xbox, And yeah, he was at the bottom of the list, but you know what? He played. He liked playing with all of us, but that wasn't his thing. Yet again, he knows about Game Pass. Why? Because he knows me. I'm the one telling him about all this stuff. He's waiting to save up, so when he does buy into the next system, he's going to have his gold locked in, and he's hoping that when he does that and he gets that the dollar payment in there for 3 months or a year, whichever one they decide to go with, that he'll go to the ultimate side. And so he knows, but that's because of people like us. We're talking about it. And like I said, my other friend's PC, and he's all about this. He didn't even know. There's a lot of people that still don't know because of this. And when you have people in those that you're relying on to tell you the truth, and they're still biased about what they prefer. I don't care what you prefer. Tell me what I'm asking. And when they push that, if they say, hey, look, this system here, you want cheap? This system here is cheap, but guess what? It comes with all these games that you can download right from the get-go. It comes with their first party games. It comes with this, it comes with that. That'll sell the system right then and there. When they come out at E3 and they brag about what this system's true specs are and when its release date is going to be officially and when you can pre-order it, that's where we come in. And we're going to be all hyped up about it. We're going to be swinging off the trees. We're going to be on the lampposts. We're going to be like drunk bastards running around. You know what I mean? Oh my God, this is too much overload. But we also got to remember, we have more people that don't know this stuff. They don't follow this stuff. E3 is the time of my daughter's birthday, so it's hard for me to I'm like trying to do birthday stuff. In the meantime, still sitting there and watching E3 and on the sly, like, oh, what was that? What was that? That's cool. Okay. Oh, hi, babe. How you doing? And you go back on to watching E3. This is where they need to put out that messaging for the others to be able to see it. Yet again, us to get up and do actually their job of promoting everything they have, just like Sony does with their fans. They go out and they let you know this, and this. Okay. And we know the fans post narrative and all that. That's fine, whatever. But they let you know why they like their console, why they like their games. Why are there's only a small few of us that are doing that. Why is Game Pass still an unknown thing? And why do people still call it Games Pass? It's not Games Pass, it's Game Pass.
Yes.
Let's get the wording right. Get it out there, because I mean, you got Ryan McCaffrey still calling it Games Pass, and I'm like, you're supposed to be an Xbox guy. You're supposed to be a news guy.
Again, we're not going to get into Ryan's fall from greatness. I used to be a big fan of that dude, and unfortunately, the unprofessionalism continues. Now, I don't know if that's him trying to be funny, but
he's not the only one. But when you have that round table and they're all saying Games Pass, you're not even talking about the right thing, because now it's a mismarketing, because you're saying the wrong thing. If you have a GTR, and you're talking about, oh, I got a GTR. Okay, well, which version? I've got a Nismo GTR. Oh, really? That's a badass car. You know, it's not just, oh, that's a cool car. Now you know that you got something more than just a standard car. Same thing here. We don't have just a standard set of games that you can play. We've got Game Pass. You can download this stuff. You can play it right off your console. You can stream it off your console onto your phone. You can do, I mean, there's so much more stuff there that they need to put out there. And I know they're not ready really to put out xCloud or talk about that, but they need to put it out there and put it out there, not just in the messaging and commercials. They need to put stickers everywhere. You know what I mean? There needs to be labels, you know, hey, Game Pass, put a big old sign out there. You know, a lot of people don't see the sign that they ran into. So why don't we have more of those signs for them to run into it, eventually look up and look at it to read it? You know, that's really where it's at. They've stepped up. They've showed they got the cojones. Now let's literally take the next step and get it out there that Game Pass is for everyone. You know, we're putting in more and more games. They got GTA 5. Who doesn't already have it? But guess what? Some people went back and started playing it. You know, they didn't have the disc because they lost it or a friend got it and they never got it back. But guess what? Now they can go back and play their game and finish the game. And usually those guys don't understand how you let a friend walk off with it. I don't care what, you know, give me back my game because I want to play it. But now they don't have to worry about it. They can play it.
Listen, all I can tell you, Dreadpool, is that Game Pass is going to be a contributing factor to the success of Microsoft next generation. But what I want to do is, because we are closing in on 2 hours, and this has been an amazing show. We had almost 500 people watching live, which is bananas. If you are new and I somehow did not piss you off with my blatant lies that I was throwing around earlier on the show, I'm going to ask that you subscribe to the channel. This is a passion project of mine. I love doing these shows. I work real hard to put these shows together each and every week, 6+ hours of content, 3 different types of shows, Monday evenings, Thursday afternoons, and Friday mornings. And I do it all for the price of free. And I don't ask for anything. Honestly, I'm having a blast doing this. In fact, I am having more fun now writing and preparing these shows than I'm actually having than gaming. I actually write more than I game now, which is crazy. And it's why my gamer score, I don't know if I'm ever going to hit 300,000 K on the Xbox. I'm trying. Hopefully this year I do that. But I want to close out the show. I had a couple other topics. I'll bring these back around maybe for Breakfast with Boom the following week, because there is not going to be a Breakfast with Boom this Friday morning because my wife has a doctor's appointment. But I will be having a special Double Barrel Gaming Presents the Game of the Year 2019 show that I put on every year with my brother and my 2 good friends. And that'll be happening Saturday afternoon at noon. But I have a good friend, BitCloud Gaming, who, if you know who he is more of a Sony-centric guy. He is he's on Breakfast with Boom on a regular basis. He's an amazing podcaster and content creator. And he put up some shots of what appears to be, I don't know how legitimate this is, the PlayStation 5. Now, this is obviously not from Sony. I don't know where he got it from, but I wanted to get the panel and of course the chat. I want to get your opinion on it. This is not the final design like I have here. It's a leaked design on Twitter. So let me bring up those pictures of the PlayStation 5 and see what you guys think about this. And I'll start with, of course, Gaming Forte. Gaming Forte, we talked about this prior to going live. What are your thoughts on this mock-up version of the PlayStation 5?
So first time I saw it, it was like, at this point, I really don't care what the system looks like. But when I saw it, I was like, okay, that looks weird. Doesn't even look like a system, honestly. It looks like it definitely just looks like a render or something.
Let's take a look at the top-down version. It looks like the V that we saw that they had the dev kit. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
No, it's not. No, let me get it right. There's nothing wrong with the design of it. The biggest thing the reason I like the Series X one so much is because, like I always I've been telling people, it's function over style.
It looks like
I like what the functionality of it being a tower looks like. I know, because ultimately we all want to know, like, how can you cram that much power into such a small box? And the form factor they went with, it's enticing to me because I know they're thinking about the cooling and everything,
Yes.
so it all makes sense to me. When I see this, it makes me feel like, okay, so even if it's 9.2 teraflops, I'm like, is it substantially going to cool that card in that form factor? It's like I got more questions than anything about it.
Well, the ventures seem to be in the middle, which are a little weird. Again, this is not confirmed.
It's a render. So so for me, for a person that, like, I'll put it like this, for a person that just wants to buy a console and cares about the looks and the designs of it, this is perfectly fine. It's not ugly or anything. I mean, somebody actually might like the whole design of the V shape and the way that it's situated. But for me, the more and more we go through the generations and we start becoming more and more aware of what PC architecture is and how the power of that narrative works going forward, I want my system to last longer than it actually looks. And that is what I am seeing with this system. And we all know the PS4 sounded like a race car when it first came out.
Oh man, my PlayStation 4 Pro was so loud.
This reminds me of a V8 engine, because I'm just looking at it and I'm like, this thing is going to probably purr as soon as you put a disc in it. So ultimately, it's not a bad looking design. I mean, I personally hope this isn't nowhere near what the final mock-up is going to be. I kind of want to see Sony go. I'm not going to say completely in the direction Microsoft's going in, because I don't think they're going to have a powerful enough system to have to do all that. But I mean, a little bit more. I think Sony's going to go more traditional, and this is way less traditional than I even think Sony wants to do.
Okay, not bad. Tempest Sun, I want to get your opinion on it. Again, I pulled this from BitCloud Gaming. He posted and he asked the question, do you like design? Thumbs up or thumbs down? And I actually wrote back to him on Twitter. And I said, I said, to be honest, I actually don't like the design, so it's a big thumbs down for me. What are your thoughts if the PlayStation 5 should look something similar to this V for victory?
No, I thought it looked like a Roomba, like it was going to start vacuuming my ground.
So you're saying that it could potentially clean your room and play your games at the same time?
I might sign up for that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it looks silly. I mean, who cares if it did look like this? I mean, it's going to be in my entertainment center because I'll eventually own one. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to own one day one, even if it looks like a Rumba. Actually, Dr. Dinglenut in the chat says V for 5. I never thought about that.
That makes sense.
Oh, yeah, V for 5. That does make sense.
I'm not digging it. And can I ask, you can answer it super, super quick because I'm just curious. Can I ask a question to the panel?
Sure.
Yeah.
About the PS5 and everything. How much time do you think they need, Sony or Microsoft, to pivot on their price based off what the other do? Like, do you see this scenario? Like, should Microsoft go second during E3 and wait for their pricing? Because, like, let's say Microsoft goes second and Sony wants to make money on the console instead of lose it, and they go for $500. Do you think then Microsoft would be like, "Ooh, goody," and go 500 as well? Or do you think if Microsoft comes out of the gate and says 500, do you think Sony would just have it in mind that they're going to go 400 if Microsoft goes 500?
I think at this point, Microsoft don't need to worry about what Sony doing anymore. Honestly, when it comes, they have led the narrative for the last month and what's going on with the system and stuff.
Continue.
And they can continue to keep doing that. I think everybody at this point is very happy if that system comes out at $500. I think if that system releases at $500, I don't care what the PlayStation 5 releases at. It could release at, if it releases at $300, that's a big difference. But then at that point, people are going to question, well, is it as powerful as they say it is? But at $500, I think the Xbox will be fine. And then let PlayStation make that move, because I think everybody right now is thinking, hey, man, that Xbox can go for $600, and a lot of people are willing to pay that. But if they say $500, leave the ball in Sony's court. Let them say 4 if they want to, because guess what? You got a backup plan called the Lockhart, and that's going to come in at 2.
I do agree with that, but the only reason I ask is because if they actually truly want to win this generation and they want to win, like they just want to win, nothing would screw PlayStation more, I feel, than a 3 teraflop more system coming out at the same price. That's not a little difference. That would be a huge difference.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say to Slow-Mo earlier, and that's like I said, I think that would be the FU moment of the year if they was to do something like that. If they was just to come out at their press conference and say, "Yo, $399." If they was just because Microsoft ain't gonna lose them, they're gonna lose money on the system regardless.
They don't have to when they have the Lockhart.
They're gonna lose money on the system regardless. I just feel like they're gonna make so much more of it up on the back end when it comes to software and services. And if they want to hit that magical number, whatever that number is, on how many subscriptions they gotta have to break even before they start making money on the subscription for how much they're giving it away for, I think that would be a really good gesture. I just don't see it happening, but it would be amazing if they were to match that price.
2 SKUs. If it was just 1 versus 1,
I would do it.
See them. The juggler.
Yeah, if it was 1 versus 1, considering the kind of comments that Phil Spencer has said in the past about not being beat on price, I think they would be whatever they're doing, we're doing. Right, period. Right. Like, but although, like, with the situation that you that you brought up, I don't think that's going to happen, just purely because I think Sony and Microsoft will release price prior to E3.
I agree.
I think Sony's going to release price first. I think Sony's going to do like a full reveal of the PlayStation 5 in like February or March, and then maybe sometime in like late April or May, Microsoft would do something for Xbox. But I think they're already going to get the opportunity to see where they're coming out at price, and then I think they've already probably have kicked around some pricing already based off of strictly what they have, and then potentially looked at fudging that one way or the other depending on where Sony goes. But I think they'll have plenty of opportunity to take a look at what they're doing and say, can we go cheaper on the Series X, or could we just stay pat with what we have? And I think they'll be fine.
But if you want a straight, direct answer to that, I think anything can happen. The pivot can definitely happen in a short amount of time. We saw, I truly believe that the PlayStation 4 was going to release at $500.
It absolutely was,
but they scrambled at the last second to take the camera out the box and all the extra stuff. So we know this can happen because it was not even a rumor at this point that was a thing.
They added more RAM in a very short period of time for the PS4 too. So yeah, like a lot of things can change up to a certain point. If it's like September, it's a wrap.
This ain't gonna be Microsoft and Sony. This ain't gonna be Microsoft and Sony making a Star Wars movie and releasing it 2 weeks after they finish making it.
Right. See, I never even thought that they'd release price that early, because I think they might still be trying to lock down. God, they have to make deals with AMD and probably a bunch of other manufacturers get these parts and stuff like that. So,
well, I mean, I think all that stuff is already set in stone. AMD recently came out, talked about how many 7 nanometer chips they're making this year. So they already have a certain number. Like all that stuff is already and it's not just AMD. Everyone else that both Sony and Microsoft are getting their components to put their systems together with. They've already got everything planned out at this point. Now it's more about like, well, what can we change that doesn't completely throw everything off? And of course pricing, but that's all on Sony and Microsoft to really take it on the chin or sell at that cost. So we'll see what happens.
I put it to this way: it is going to be a real fight, and I think someone had said it. And I read it earlier that apparently, again, I haven't seen it myself because I'm doing the show. I'm going to investigate this as soon as I'm off the air. That Sony had announced that February 20th. is going to be their official reveal. And I have heard, and I'm going to be talking about it on Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast, where I believe AMD kind of let the cat out of the bag on what they're going to be showing in May. And they're not going to give hardware specs of the chip that's working in the Xbox Series X, but they're going to be showing the ray tracing on a particular game. Now, what that game is, we're going to be speculating about that. That's very interesting. You want to say something, Slow-Mo?
No. That was someone else.
That was me. I was just saying Gran Turismo if it's Sony. Yeah, that's probably what they'll show with ray tracing. I mean, they already have, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm talking about the reveal in May. It's going to be AMD with Microsoft.
Oh, Microsoft. Okay.
I don't know what that's actually going to be, but it could be Halo. It could be Fable. It could be something that we don't know is coming out. It could be something. It could be a game that the initiative is working on. I mean, the speculation, you can run crazy. But real quick, before we get everybody out here and we do outros, Gotham Guy with the outstanding and very generous $10 super chat. He says $4.99 is the sweet spot for the Series X because we saw how much success the 1X sold for the same price. For all of that power and specs that we saw, $4.99, it is a good value. And Forte was Forte was talking about. Yeah, $4.99 is going to be the sweet spot. And again, if they're doing the 2 SKU attack, where I called many months ago as Lockhart being the Trojan horse for Microsoft, if they can release a console that's as powerful as the X is supposedly going to be at $4.99, and then drop a box that's more powerful than the current Xbox One X, which is a great system, for $2.99, they're going to sandwich Sony. And with Game Pass and Project X Cloud, I think Sony's going to be up for a good fight. But this has been a great show. Slow-Mo, I got to tell you, we one time or another, I got to get you on the show. We get you here 2 hours, because I don't think we've worked together at more than 2 hours in what seems like an entire year.
I know it has been rough, man. It's just Mondays are hard for me because I'm coming off of work. I'm picking up my kids. I'm trying to get them in bed. They're my kids, so like right there, like they take from their father and they don't go down easy, you know. So
yeah, well, I mean, listen, kids rarely do. But listen, I got to thank. We literally just missed 500, but I think by like 3 or 4 viewers. I want to thank everybody for being here. Obviously, there were some people in the chat that, you know, said some things that I don't appreciate, because the one thing I am not is a liar. And I don't spread false narratives. I think I'm pretty fair as a gamer. I'm a pretty fair community member, and I think I'm a damn fair content creator. And like it says if you read my bio, I do sometimes 3-4 times the checks when I go to put these stories together. And you know, I may not have the sources of a dealer or a Randall Thor or Colt Eastwood, but I have my sources. And when I do have a question, those are the guys that I personally reach out to. And again, if you watch their videos, nothing I said today or in the last couple of weeks has been anything different than what they have reported on with sources that they know personally. So again, if you were pissed off that maybe you were a PlayStation guy or gal and you don't believe what The Rock is cooking, that's fine. I get you. But there are other podcasts that you can watch that won't get you so angry. But let's get into, of course, the outros. And I'm going to start with Gaming Forte. Gaming Forte, listen, having you a part of the show is a big deal for me. I enjoy working with you. I think you are a class act. I am super, super stoked that we're going to be hanging out with the ILP and so many amazing community members at E3 2020 in Los Angeles, California in June. I'm very stoked to meet you in person. I cannot wait to talk gaming and to hang out with you. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, check out your motivational videos, and of course, check out your incredible YouTube channel.
Look, man, it was surreal when we got invited to the thing. I was like, oh my God, this is real. So I'm super. So I'm right along with you, man. I can't wait. It cannot get here fast enough. But as always, man, this is an amazing show, amazing panel. Love everybody on here. It's Gaming Forte on YouTube and Twitter. Check me out. Put up stuff all the time on Twitter. Getting back into the motion with my YouTube channel. So check me out, man. Links are gonna be in the description for everything on my channel if you need to find me anywhere else.
Excellent. Well, listen, thank you again for being here. And of course, Slow-Mo Backslap. We have worked together numerous times. I, of course, enjoy working with you. Appreciate that you have a no-nonsense, unapologetic opinion. And like myself, if you don't like it, you tell them to suck it. And I like that. And I definitely appreciate that. But you know what? You bring a lot to the table on the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. You bring a lot to the table when you are hanging out with Luca and the gang, and you bring a lot to the table with your incredible and very busy YouTube channel. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but check out your work.
Sure, Bo. Man, look, anytime you want me on the show, just let me know. I will drop anything I can drop, and try to get in as soon as possible. So, and for the haters, look, those people, they're not even that important, bro. Like I would say, don't like even acknowledging them gives them life they don't deserve. And I know that sounds pretty harsh, but it is what it is, man. Just I would say go on with the show, enjoy the show, and the 400 plus people watching are not here for that other bullshit. So just ignore them people. I would say that would be my advice to you. But I'm not as successful as Mr. Boomstick here, so I don't know what that's like to deal with that. So,
listen, dude, you're very successful. I love what you bring to the table. Your videos are great, dude, and I think more people have to flock over to your channel and show you some love and give you some subs and explode your channel because it is very well done. And you know what I enjoy about it is that you speak from a gamer's point of view, and at the end of the day, that's what we all are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I even did the channel. I'm only at like a little over 200 subs, and I get a decent number of views, but it really isn't really what I do it for. Like I do it just because I'm on a lot of podcasts, but then I don't really get a chance to speak my mind on certain games. Like platforms, I don't care about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I play on everything, literally everything, but a Stadia because I got standards, right? But
hey.
I had to throw that in there. But like all I care about is the games, and I just love to talk about games, and I try to throw in as much video quality that I can muster while I do it. So hey, if you guys want to hear someone ramble on about games that they like, check my channel out. Give it a like and a subscribe if you like it. If you don't, it's all good, man.
Yeah, just let me say real quick to Slow-Mo's channel, I'm a subscriber, and let me tell you, he tries to keep you informed on some more rare games, like not Rare the company, but rare games that you might not know about. And he'll just put out a video. It might only be 2-3 minutes, quick, snappy. And he'll say, hey, this game's big over here. It might be coming to Xbox. It might be coming here. It's just informative stuff. I just want to say I appreciate that because like he put out a video about Lost Ark. I've been keeping my eye on Lost Ark for years. And I actually played the Russian version of it. It's fantastic. And just having a community member that comes out with videos like that, I was like, yes, right on. So no, go subscribe to him. It's good stuff.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that. It's certainly in Lost Ark. What he's saying is absolutely true. I haven't played it because I'm afraid to go on a Russian server to play it. But you are very brave for that, sir. But
Yeah.
like I mean, everything I've seen from it, and everyone who has played the game is like, this game puts Diablo to shame.
Oh, it
This
does.
is the next great MMORPG, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
I have to talk about this. I need to talk about this. Like I just, man, I love talking about games. So yeah, like that kind of content. That's what I'm about. My last video was about Lost Soul Aside.
Yep.
And I think prior to that, I was talking. What was I talking about prior?
You
to
even
that?
mentioned that one game Lost. We can go on forever, but that
It's like on the tip of my tongue now. Oh, Relink. Darn it. Why can't I think of words right now? Yeah, but I mean, but no, there's another game that's coming this year, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. That's also coming this year, and that's like it was developed with Platinum Games, and you can definitely tell by just looking at the gameplay. Yeah, that's got that Platinum fingerprint on it. So if you like Platinum Games combat and action, you need to check that out. It's going to be like 4-player co-op. So I mean, it's going to be amazing. So
maybe I can play that with Slow-Mo.
Yeah, you gotta stop playing Destiny first.
I do.
Let me get a break. Let me get the 10%. First of all, thanks so much for being here, dude. Really appreciate it. This was a killer show. I was a little nervous about how many people we were going to get because some people have been out sick. Other people have some family-related responsibilities, and life is life. But thank you for being here, dude. And please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, link up with you and get assassinated by you on multiplayer on any game you choose.
Well, first of all, never be worried about the member count. I'm pretty sure everybody would agree. We would come in and tune in just to hear you talk and ramble on. That's but you can find me at Twitter at the Tempest Sun, and my gamer tag is Tempest Sun with a space between Tempest and Sun. And yeah, just get a hold of me and start chit chatting. I like talking to people, so.
I definitely appreciate that. And last but certainly not least, someone that came in at the last minute, like Slow-Mo. Really appreciate him being here. His knowledge on gaming is fantastic. Dreadpool, again, thank you so much for hanging out with us for over 2 hours. Please tell everyone where they can follow you and where else they can look up your content.
All right. Thank you for having me. I'm glad I could help out tonight. You can follow me on Twitter at Dreadpool with zeros instead of O's. YouTube, Mixer, my gamer tag for Xbox, Stadia, it's Dreadpool Cat, and then Twitch is the real Dreadpool. So I was trying to do a couple streams, but apparently the old PC and the old router is not letting me do multi-stream. So I'm gonna have to figure out where to put each part of my content. So I appreciate everybody checking in on this.
Well, I definitely appreciate you being here, dude. You've bailed out this show more times than you've been given credit for. So thank you so much for being here. And everyone, I want to welcome. I want to wish everyone a great night. We had almost 500 people watching. If you enjoyed today's show, hit that like button. And if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. For some reason or another, 46% of people that view the shows for over an hour, according to YouTube analytics, are not subbed to the channel. It's a bit of a conundrum. I can't figure it out. But if you are enjoying it, maybe I don't ask for it enough. Consider subscribing to the channel. But everyone, have a fantastic evening. And if, of course, you are an Xbox guy or gal and you want an Xbox centric show, then the Xbox Factor podcast this Thursday is going to be lit. We have a lot of gaming topics regarding Xbox, its power over the PS5, and we have tech guru Mads Gaming going to be a guest with us on there. So tune in on Thursday at noon. Everyone have a great night, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming. Take care, everyone.
See you guys.